Hey everybody, it's Emily here. You're listening to the Get Offset podcast. This week is, I want to say it's a little bit different, but it's actually pretty much exactly like the Vancouver episode from a few weeks ago. I went to Summer NAMM, just got back, and I was very lucky to meet with a lot of great humans. Learned some great things, got some cool insights on stuff. Also got to see some friends from Nashville and my husband and I who met in Nashville and lived there for 8 years. Talk a little bit about some of the landmarks and things and how that city has changed. So it was really incredible. I just want to thank everyone who talked to me, including the swim organization, Evan Jones from Fender, Adam Roher from the Let Him Hear podcast, Kevin Equitz from Equitz Guitars. Also want to just give a shout out to my friends who met with me just off the podcast. So big shout out to Matt for letting us stay with him. Sarah Rachel Kaylee for drinks. Stringjoy for a fantastic after party from day one. Everyone I talked to at that. Lenore Kinder from Paradigm, thanks for hanging out with me. Anna Lee Canto, local DJ in Nashville, big thanks. Michelle Sullivan, just so you all know, I'm gonna have some a little fun with her. Had a little fun with her in Nashville in a studio called the Butcher Shop, so that's gonna be forthcoming and fun. Big thanks to Tyler Glasser from Grimies in the Belcourt for the tours of the new spaces. Kate Cawthon for hanging out with us a little bit too. Brant Stadler, Bruno Jones, and Katie Jones. I don't think I'm missing anybody. Rick, am I missing anybody? He shrugs. He doesn't know. Yeah, so I'm going to just stop yapping and get to the episode. I hope you all enjoy it. Hey, it's Emily here with
DeDe Heid.
And DeDe is part of an organization called Smart Women in Music, or SWIM.
Yes, SWIM was established about a year ago underneath the NAMM Foundation, and we have a fund that we've created to help to allow more opportunities to develop and elevate women within the music products industry.
Mm-hmm. Great. So who all is a part of this organization? What kind of events are you doing? And that sort of thing. Because I know you're pretty new, but I'm just curious how people who are listening now could get involved if they wanted to.
It's really wide open to both women and men are participating in our initiatives for SWIM, right? Because as we were talking before we were able to get live on really the importance of educating everyone on the importance of diversity and truly what inclusion means within the music products industry. So it is an open forum of opportunity. The events that we have, so people can join and become a member of SWIM, that's free. That's really just so that we have data and able to share information and educational tools through. So that can happen at smartwomeninmusic.org. And that's really so we can also know and profile more about those people wanting to follow and engage with us. And they can say there, what are they looking to get out of it? Are they looking to be a mentor? Are they looking to be mentored? Are they looking for our scholarship opportunities, where we have scholarships to bring women to the NAMM show, either this summer show or to the winter show, that we would take up to 6 scholarship winners to each show that they can receive up to $1,000 to help them with their costs to come to the show. Wow. When they're here at the show, we set them up with mentors so they can do job shadows, be able to learn more about the music products industry and what's on their horizon. And then we're also working on our first summit, where we will have up to 15 women leaders get together and do a career tracking program with help from an executive program in California.
All right, that's fantastic. And you guys have this pamphlet that has a few stats about the women in leadership gap. So it looks like, and is this overall 14.6 of executive officers are women?
Correct.
And that's low, and that's across all industries. And the music industry, the music products industry specifically, is only 2.4%.
Isn't that scary and staggering how underrepresented women truly are within this wonderful world, right? So if you think that music is supposed to be about inclusivity and a universal language, yet we are standing way behind the course of where we need to and having women in those leadership roles.
Yes, that is stark. Is a good way to say that. Thank you so much for taking the time. You can check out a link to Smart Women in Music in the show notes, and I'll post it to the visual thread on Facebook. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Emily.
All right, I am back with Adam Roher of the Let 'Em Hear podcast. Hey, Adam.
Hey, Emily.
So I've been on your podcast a few times, but you've never been on mine.
Never. I finally have the invite. I feel honored.
Well, and here we are in person at Summer NAMM, looking out at the Union Station Hotel in the distance.
Beautiful view, anyway. Storm rolling in.
Storm rolling in. Just saw an enormous bolt of lightning and heard a clap of thunder, which is maybe the first time I've heard that in a year or two. It doesn't really thunderstorm in Seattle.
Yeah, it does a lot in Pennsylvania, like every day in the summer, so I'm pretty used to that.
It's funny to me that yesterday in Seattle it was 65 degrees and, a little bit of rain, like not like rain, but kind of that misty rain Seattle gets. Now I come here, it's 95 friggin' degrees. It is humid and it's thunderstorming now, so I'm just wondering why the hell I lived here for 8 years.
Yeah, and I was telling you this earlier, when I thought about NAMM in the summer in Nashville, I was kind of dreading the heat, which obviously would be here, but then currently where we live in Pennsylvania, there's a record-setting highs for the past week, so it's 100 degrees there every day. So, we'll get back, and this will feel like a nice, cool breeze.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised when I walked out of the hotel or was walking down Nashville from where we parked the car, which was funnily to me right near where I did this little cafeteria joint that had has 5 maybe different kind of little restaurants in it, and I would go there at least once a week to get lunch, and I was like, I never thought I'd look at that place again.
Yeah, it's cool. This is our first time here, and I mean, it's cool just to experience the fact that Nashville is, there's so much music history here, even though there's a lot of silly tourist spots. Even still, it's fun for me to be here and experience some of that stuff. I can understand why the locals kind of are over some of that stuff, but it's cool to see.
Well, I was talking to you about how I moved to Nashville in 2007. I was there for 8 years almost, probably just shy of that. And when I moved here, I thought that, the lower Broadway sort of downtown kind of place, I thought that was very commercial, caricature-ish, but that pales in comparison to what it's like now. There's a Kid Rock bar, yep. There's a Florida Georgia Line bar. It's every bar apparently has to be themed after a contemporary country star, which is sort of a drag and a half. And I guess the tourists go, and it's like downtown Disney for people who listen to country radio. But it just we went to lunch today, and I almost walked past the restaurant, Martin's Barbecue, which started in this little shack that my friend and I would go to because her parents lived down the road from it. And it's expanded a lot, and I remember I was so excited when they opened their second location, and now they have a bunch. And I almost walked by it because in my brain it wasn't the right place, and I look around and I'm like, is this where the Rutledge was? And the Rutledge was this divey, dingy, dark little rock club, and it had the world's grumpiest sound man, Frank, and Frank just hated you unless you mentioned one of his favorite bands, and then he'd be really nice. But now I'm like, what happened to Frank? It's just so weird going in there and being like, oh man, that's where the seating was, and that's where the outdoor spot was, and this is where the stage was. I'm like, oh man, that's maybe the saddest I've felt at a change in Nashville that I've seen, and I've only been here for 16 hours maybe.
Yeah, and it's funny because I'm on the total opposite end of that spectrum where we've never been here, so everything is new to us. So we don't know what used to be there or what didn't used to be there, but I don't know. It's fun, and we're staying a few miles outside of downtown, so our area is kind of like a little ghetto, but also there's a lot of cool hip things around. So I don't know. It's just a fun getaway for us.
I think that the area that I'm going to a bar there tonight with some friends, but it used to be one of the worst neighborhoods in Nashville. It used to be like one of the worst neighborhoods in the country, I'm pretty sure, if I'm thinking of it right. But there used to, I doubt it's still there, but there used to be this, I just would love driving by this place on the way to the record store, Grimey's. It was called Hubcap Annie's, and on the building it was spelled Annie, Anie, and then there was a big sign outside that said, spelled Annie, Anie. I'm like, oh gosh. I never got tired of looking at that because it was so weird and bad.
Awesome.
Yes.
Well, I'm going to change the subject here.
Go for it.
I just played your Tunatone guitar, and it is awesome.
I know, right?
Yeah, and Kevin Equitz was there with us. He was checking it out for the first time too, and he was mentioning in awe, which of course you know and I know, but Layla is not a guitar player herself. But even like the little details with the neck cut out near the neck pocket, and just all those little details where as a guitarist you're like, man, this is so comfortable. It's so interesting to me that Layla designed that, and she's not a guitar player herself. And I know that she gets a lot of advice and stuff from a lot of her guitar playing friends, and that's all well and good, but just the design of the guitar, just the fact that she designed it, not because like I couldn't go and design a freaking saxophone, which
No.
but like I don't know, it's so cool that she does that just based on like her just the aesthetics of the guitar, I guess, and then she works out all the little details like with the is it brass, the bridge, the brass bridge and nut, and I don't know, it's just it to me it like has a feel of like it's part like almost like violin, like with the raised bridge and stuff, but also like the old like Tisco and Harmony and some of those guitars, like the way that the nut and everything is. I don't know.
Yeah. No, it was really like nerve-wracking watching Kevin just pour over this guitar. Like he's really investigating, and I'm like,
Yeah,
oh,
he was.
I hope he likes it. I hope he likes it, and I think he did.
He did, yeah. So Layla, if you're listening, you got high praise from Kevin Equitz, and he's in his own right a great builder.
Yes.
And I actually just played his guitars for the first time right after I played the Tunatone, so that was cool too.
Yeah, and if you all aren't familiar with Kevin Equitz, go listen to the episode with Kevin and myself on Let Him Hear. We talk about a guitar that Kevin and I designed together.
I think it's episode 6, somewhere around there.
Yeah, it was early, because in Layla was episode 1.
Yep.
And also you had, you had Megan Wells on the show.
I had Megan Wells on also, yep.
Well, Worlds Colliding, Layla, I think, is today traveling to hand-deliver Megan's guitar to her.
Nice.
Yeah, and she's going to see Jamie Stillway, too.
Nice.
So just
and
like
I've had Jamie on also.
It's just like everybody who's been on your show, Adam.
Well, to be fair, you probably have put half of those people into my conscience, so...
Oh, just Layla, I'm sure. Because I think Layla mentioned Megan. I'm sure Megan mentioned Jamie.
You're right.
Which is so funny because you recorded that episode with Jamie, and then you had no idea that she and I were bros.
No, I had no idea. I mentioned you I don't know why. I can't remember why I mentioned you, but then she's like, oh, I know her. And yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
She's been borrowing one of my guitar pedals since 2017.
Which one?
It's a Big Muff Pie, the Wicker edition.
Dude, that's so funny because she mentioned that. I'm almost certain on the podcast and was talking about how she's... What is that? Oh, wow.
It's a very large
God bless
truck
America.
with 2 American flags being flown. It's just
And there's
like
got to be
pickup
like
truck.
10 people in the bed of that pickup truck. I'm
It's
sure that's
going-
not legal.
It's going real slow.
Yeah.
It's that I haven't seen a truck jacked up that high. It's jacked up as high as a semi. Welcome to Nashville.
Yeah.
Guess how long I was in downtown Nashville before I gave a driver of a car the finger?
5 minutes.
It's about 15 minutes. Yeah.
right.
Yeah. He didn't. My husband and I were crossing in a crosswalk, and the only reason I gave him the finger was because this driver did not want to stop for us, and then he gave us the finger. So then I just returned it. A very long salute.
Well, it's funny because we flew in here, so we're Ubering everywhere or walking, and so we don't have to deal with all that crap, which is fun for us. Because even like where we live, we don't Uber at all because, well, we have cars for one thing, but even if we wanted to go out and drink, there's places within walking distance that we could do that.
Yeah. I mean, we were just walking across the street. I was like, oh gosh, this wouldn't happen in Seattle. This would
No,
not happen.
people are more polite.
Oh my gosh.
Kevin, speaking of Kevin Equitz, he moved here
Yeah.
from Southern California, I think, in the past year, and he was talking about how amazingly kind and friendly people are around here. But mostly, I think he was talking like he's actually more like an hour away from here, so he was talking more like his area.
Well, I mean, I think that like there are definitely honeymoon periods with places, and like the more Rick and I are in Seattle, like it's not a perfect place for sure. There's no such thing as a perfect place, but I think I just got tired of a lot of the things in Nashville. I got tired of that kind of grind. I got really tired of the gentrification. It just was starting to price us out of everything, and wages weren't increasing as quickly, and the job market wasn't that great.
So you're saying that there's places in Seattle that are the cost of living is friendly enough that you guys are okay there? Because I feel like I've always heard that Seattle is like so expensive.
It's expensive, but people get paid more.
Yeah. Oh,
so there's that.
Yeah.
I mean, it is oppressively expensive in Seattle. But I mean, I remember like, so the minimum wage in Seattle is like $15. The minimum wage here when I was here was like $7.25, and like you can't do a $7.25 an hour job and live in a studio condo. Like, you can't. I mean... Like,
anywhere, let alone Seattle.
You have to drive everywhere because there's no real public transportation. It's really not bike-friendly.
Right.
And then it's hot and humid and thunderstormy. I don't know. Like, I saw an incredible bolt of lightning, and I haven't seen anything since. It just looks really windy.
It's funny. That just, like, doesn't bother me one bit because we had a few weeks ago where we just had this string of tornado warnings every single day.
Oh, God.
And, we never really see tornadoes, but we get a lot of tornado warnings where it's just like massive thunderstorms. And I don't know. It's nothing new to me.
Pulling my now husband out of bed during tornado warnings in Nashville was one of the more difficult and frustrating things I've ever had to do. He did not want to go down to the basement, which we had to go to the outside to go downstairs to the basement. So that was not conducive. But just like even locking ourselves in our hallway, I'm like, well, we'll definitely die if we're here and a tornado hits it directly, but maybe not if it hits us indirectly. And then of course there was an earthquake in Seattle the other day, and I haven't talked to a single other person who woke up for that earthquake.
Did you feel it?
I woke up. It woke me up, and it felt like I think I said to Andrew, it like felt like if you wake up in the middle of the night and you're still really drunk and you feel kind of woozy and you have the spins. And then last night we were on the airplane and there was some turbulence. I looked over and I'm like, this is what it felt like. It's like some really light turbulence, just like you're kind of being rocked around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Though I think the cat noticed the earthquake more than any of us.
The what? Oh, your cat. Yeah.
Oh man.
Well, speaking of Seattle, we like to travel, obviously, and we've been to Seattle several times. My wife, who is sitting right beside me here, Christina, she spent a lot of her summers there growing up. Her aunt lives there. And, I mean, all I can say is we've been to a lot of places, seen a lot of really beautiful places, California and Colorado and Texas and everywhere. But just the sky and, like, the mountains and everything around the Seattle is just, like, that alone makes you want to just pick up and move there. So, I mean, I understand that wasn't your reasoning for moving there, but it's a huge benefit. I'm sure.
It was a big selling point. The weather was a big selling point, and the beauty of it was nice. And I think that was kind of like the moment I decided I think I could live here, was just like looking around at it. I forget where exactly we were, but I looked to the left and there were mountains. I looked to the right and there were mountains, and it was just such a beautiful day. And it was hot here and it was not hot there, and I was like, I love it. And I took Rick, and he was just so astounded by the beauty of it that it was an easy sell for him.
I understand. Like, we were out there for 2 weeks, probably 3 or 4 years ago when our kids were still very young, and I'm out there like looking on Monster.com and stuff. I'm like, how can I live out here and work out here?
I mean, that's pretty much what I did.
Yeah. Like,
I applied, like, right after we got married, Rick and I decided, well, we're definitely leaving Nashville. We don't want to stay in Nashville anymore. We, I think, really stayed for a business venture of his that wasn't panning out. And it was between a couple of places, and Seattle by far had the best job market. For me, for Rick, like, at the time he was doing FedEx delivery, so he really could have moved anywhere. And he got a transfer with FedEx and then left FedEx and became a developer. But so just like having more a job market there. Like, I moved out there with 3 job offers.
It's awesome.
Yeah. And I'm still with the company that hired me. So that's
And
really
it
nice.
seems, I don't really know, like, I would imagine it's not like I would imagine it's a younger, like, per capita, younger people here in Nashville just because people move here thinking they're going to play music and all that. But I feel like that's the case in Seattle, too.
Yeah,
I mean,
lot
it's
of
like
developers.
a lot of, yeah.
My cousin just is about to move to Nashville to try to make it, which is not exactly the advice I gave her.
Right. I was telling Christina yesterday, I know a person who moved here recently to do that, and she's a singer-songwriter, and she's older, probably like 40, and she's like okay, like just okay. But it's interesting. There's just a place where like people know that they're supposed to move here or think they're supposed to move here to make it, and I guess some people do, but that's kind of what drives people here like crazy.
Well, what I told my cousin was, like, she has a beautiful voice for sure. I mean, what I recommended, what I suggested that she do, and I suggest a lot of people do this, like, build up something in a secondary market where there's maybe not quite as much competition for talents and things like that.
Yeah,
Work on
totally.
your craft and then, like, get some hype and then move to Nashville. Because when you move to Nashville with a little bit of hype, it means a hell of a lot more than if you move to Nashville as an absolute nobody.
I was thinking about it yesterday because we walked around Broadway, but also a lot of the side streets off of Broadway, all the alleys and stuff, all those places have live music all the time.
Oh, yeah.
So there's so many opportunities, but also
It's all cover
there's
bands.
there's so many musicians. So like, how do you even get your foot in the door to play in like these little hole in the wall places? There's got to be so much competition. So there's got to be, like you said, you have to have some sort of something already developed to offer people.
It really is who you know, so
Right.
that's a big thing. But a big problem is like there is just such a wealth of talent. People don't always want to pay for music because like, oh, well, my cousin's actually a really great guitarist and he'll do it for free. So like you have to compete. You have to compete with that.
Yeah, I don't know like how it works here in Nashville as far as like artists getting paid and stuff, but most of these places we walked in are free, no cover charge or anything, which is cool for the consumer, but that can't be good on the back end for the performer.
And if the performer gets tips, it's fine. But like these bars should still be paying the performer because they're the people bringing people in.
Totally.
And, like I think like paying for talent is still the way to get better talent.
Totally.
But also having live music isn't really a differentiator.
Right, and like you said, a lot of this is like cover bands and stuff, which is fine in its own right, but like that's not something that I would ever want to do. And I've done some bar gigs and stuff in my area, and yeah, they sometimes will pay you a couple $100, but they're like, you have to pay for 3 hours. You have to play like 2 hour-and-a-half sets. I'm like, well, that's not even fun at that point. It's just like you're playing like 10 p.m. to like 1 or 2 in the morning, and it's like, I don't know, I'm an old man. I can't handle that.
That's why I like the gigs that I've had because there's a set at 6:30 and a set at 9.
Oh, that's perfect. Yeah.
I'm in bed before midnight, which is good because they're on Thursdays. Yeah. So anything you've seen that's been super duper cool?
Other than the tuna tone, honestly, that's probably been like hers and Kevin's guitars were ones that I've wanted to play for a long time, and they didn't disappoint at all. Kevin's is the same way. Like a lot of his details, his neck pocket carve is really awesome. He was showing us how he sort of kept the neck pocket with also having the double binding on the binding on the back, which is I've never seen that. Because usually it's like a lot of companies will offer like you can do double binding, but then you're not going to have that neck carve like that. So he kind of found a way to do that, which is awesome. Other than that, Harmony, the Harmony guitars, awesome. I love
that
those.
Little offset they had, like it was nice and small.
Yeah,
it was
small.
Good, yeah. Compact size.
And even I'll just call it a single cut, like Les Paul type of shape. That was very small too, much smaller than like a Les Paul size. And I think the price point is $1,200 and under, which very reasonable for I don't know, even like all of the aesthetics, like the cupcake knobs and the gold foil pickups. It just looks really cool and classy.
The publicist there, I was talking to her, and she said that people were getting some sticker shock from like a $1,200, $1,300 price point
so
on this
crazy,
because they're like, oh, it's a Harmony guitar, it should be $300. Like,
yeah.
no, those are like that's the same name,
Right.
and this has the same inspiration, but this is actually a nice guitar.
Yeah.
Like,
and the Harmonies, how long has it been since Harmony's made a guitar? I don't know, decades, but.
I don't know.
But I'm trying to think. Randomly, I stopped at the Greer Amps booth, and I played their new Guerrilla Warfare pedal, which is basically a rat, like a vintage rat, and it was awesome. I don't know. I can't compare.
I like that one too.
I don't know how it compares to other rats. It's been, I'd have to have A/B them, but it was awesome. It was like the perfect distortion sound. I'm trying to think what else. Yeah, I don't know. That's all I can think of currently. That's kind of the ones that stuck out to me.
Nice. Well, I'm going to let you go. Thank you so much for the chat.
Thanks for chatting with me.
Yeah, we'll post links and pictures of the Harmony things, especially in Kevin Equitz and his site, in the show notes and in the visual thread, so check those out. Hey, it's me again, and I'm here with Kevin Equitz of Equitz Guitars. Hey, Kevin.
How's it going?
Good. How did you like the commute to NAMM this year?
I mean, walking to the show, it was nice.
You walked here?
From my day job, yeah.
Oh, that's why you were here in the afternoon. That makes sense. Yeah, up in near Pinewood Social.
That's right. Yep, we're by the trolley barns.
The trolley barns. I remember when they were getting those all up together, and they were quite the talk of the town.
Yeah, it seems like it. We saw some pictures, and I think like looking at my work from like the Google Maps, it looks like some rundown like nightmare, like a horror film setting.
Oh, it was.
Yeah.
Pretty terrifying.
But it's pretty cool now. It's they've got it all built out, and they still have a lot of that kind of rustic, like just brick with like sloppy paint splashed all over it. But it's a cool spot.
Yeah, that's part of the aesthetic, I would think.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, very very Nashville thing. But yeah. So you've been in Nashville since about February?
Yep, we moved out here. My wife and I had to come out a couple weeks ahead of my wife. But yeah, we officially moved like mid-February, and so we're getting set up. We landed in a place in Spring Hill in March, I believe.
Spring Hill, they have their own airport.
Do they?
There was this local Seattle band for a while, and I think they're mostly a joke band, and they may still exist, called the Spring Hill Spider Monkeys.
Not heard of it.
Well, sometimes the Mercy Lounge, actually every Monday night, the Mercy Lounge used to do this thing called 8 off 8th, where it would be like 8 up-and-coming bands, and they'd play like 3 songs, and like sometimes there would be different people hosting them. And they started promoting that there was going to be a local band doing a surprise set, and they didn't say who it was going to be, and they gave all these hints, and none of these hints pointed to Kings of Leon. And they kept saying it's not Kings of Leon, but somehow people thought, of course, it was going to be Kings of Leon. So a bunch of people showed up and were treated to the Spring Hill Spider Monkeys. People were pissed.
I can imagine. Yeah, I haven't seen a whole lot going on out there. Like we're kind of up at the northern part of Spring Hill. It just seems like there are a lot of schools and houses and churches out there. I haven't seen too many venues. Downtown Franklin, there's apparently a place near there that we need to check out. But we're still getting adjusted to the area and stuff. We love it, but we're still moving in and getting acclimated.
Good. Well, I'm really glad that you guys are liking it. And is your workshop getting all set up?
Yeah, actually, I have like a bench, like a real bench now. And
Nice.
Instead of being in a one-car garage that I had to squeeze my car into every night, I can leave my stuff set up. So I'm looking forward to building that out like some more, getting some better, stuff like storage and a spot for tools, like real tools, like a table saw finally. And
Nice.
I think that should update my output quite a bit. Hopefully, my goal is to double what I was doing before. I was doing about 5 or 6 guitars a year before, so I'm hoping to at least double that. I think that should be a safe piece.
Yeah, I think Layla's doing about 5 or 6 a year also.
Good for her. Yeah, dude, that guitar is amazing. Let me go on the record and say that guitar is amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, nice job, Layla.
I'm very glad it got your seal of approval. She will be so stoked to know that.
My approval means nothing, but it is objectively a very striking, very unique, very well-made guitar. I'd love to hear how it sounds. Even if we plugged it in here, I don't think we would really hear it. A guitar like that, you could tell the nuances and the characteristics. Like you really need to just sit down with it and check it out. But it looks super cool. I love the thought that goes into the nut and the bridge, the way that it's all contained and captured in the wood, and it just looks like it was built with a lot of intent and a lot of thought.
I know she was stressing over that price point. Do you think that's fair?
Absolutely, and
Yeah.
and it is tough, and it's a very common thing. A lot of other builders stress about their prices because you get this like kind of this artist concept where it's like you're doing something that you love, which you would probably do for free out of your own interest and curiosity, and then getting paid for it can be a little confusing sometimes. I think it's easier for people that are looking at their work as a product as opposed to a craft. But you do have to kind of suck it up and deal with the pricing, because if you go too low, you're undervaluing it. If you go too high, then it could look like maybe you're taking yourself too seriously. It's a balancing act, and it really needs to be dictated by, demand, and I think that's an absolutely fair price in her case. And I'd love to see it go up from there. I think the more, it just looks like there's more and more demand building, more buzz and more attention. And I think the more that grows, she could keep raising that price for sure.
Yeah, I mean, mine was the sixth one ever built. I think it was the sixth. I think maybe just her sixth guitar, period. But yeah, it's gone up quite a bit from the price that I paid for it. Because I remember she told me the price. I was like, oh, really? I'll put a deposit down on that today.
Yeah.
But I have a friend who is a photographer, a wedding photographer, and she was so stressed out about raising her prices. And then she raised her prices, and she suddenly started getting a lot more business because people were like, oh, this is a real deal photographer. This isn't just like some student doing it. It's like almost like if you set your price too low, no, people won't take you seriously.
That's true. My wife's a photographer as well, and in addition to that, you also kind of do the other photographers a disservice, like people that are really trying to, earn what they deserve for their work, and somebody would have no problem going out and doing the same amount of work for a fraction of the price, to where like you wonder how they're even sustaining it. But it does kind of, it does change the game for other people in the field. And so for, Layla's sake, I think her price is absolutely fair. I'd love to see it go up from there, honestly.
Yeah.
But driven organically, like as it should. Like just keep riding this momentum that she's getting, and it's well deserved. And I don't know, I got nothing but good things to say.
Cool. Yeah, and I'm glad to hear that your build queue is so full also, because that's also well deserved.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that came with me, and it's largely because it just takes so long to build, and then obviously I had to shut down just to pack up and move from our last place and then to move into this place. So there was a good, almost 6 months of really just very minimal work getting done, and even still I'm kind of catching up, but there were some things to kind of get have to like ease into, like the guitars that were kind of in the middle of production they're ready to finish right now. But the environment out here is a lot different. There's a lot more humidity, and I'm trying this water-based lacquer and a color product as well that I know I can make it work as a satin finish. That's what was on that Ainsley. But the method to get a good clear, a good gloss with a clear is different. So I needed to test it out. So kind of taking advantage of this time and figuring out like a work schedule and, interval with like kind of our new routines and our new patterns and my job out here. And, just trying to get into a new groove. So it's a little slow and go, but I'm getting there.
Nice. And speaking of the Ainsley, how's that doing? That's the guitar you and I designed together.
Yep. It's going really well. I got a lot of attention, and fortunately, I was able to be introduced to Molly Miller, who plays for Jason Mraz, and she does a lot of other. She's actually Dr. Molly Miller.
Oh yeah, I forget that.
She's brilliant. She's an amazing player, and it was cool because my wife and I went to go see Jason Mraz at the Hollywood Bowl before we ever met her, and we saw her play, and we were just blown away because she plays with this intensity that's like so genuine, and it's just captivating to watch, and she's just got so much talent. and to meet her was a big deal. But then Andy from Sinusoid is he's just an amazing person in so many ways. He really was making it a point to get her and I introduced to each other, and so that was right at the tail end of the Winter NAMM show. So she tried out a couple of the guitars that I had there, and she liked the Ainsley, and I said, just go ahead and take it home with you, because I knew we were packing up to move out here, and so I said, just hang on to it, try it out, give me some feedback, share it with your friends, whatever. And that was cool. In fact, we were driving, it was when my family and I were driving out here, she called me and we were talking through basically details on one for her. So,
Awesome.
So she's got one on the list. I also got a, every now and then I'll get a note, somebody that I haven't met, maybe from social media or whatever. And so there's another person that's on the list to get one. He, hopefully he's still around by the time I get to his. But yeah, it's exciting stuff.
I think that's a party golf cart deluxe down there.
Yeah, it's an interesting spot. They say it's like the bridal shower center, or
Bachelorette party capital of the world.
that's what I was looking for. Not bridal. Yeah, bachelor party. The woo girls.
Yeah, my last job here, we would do something called Honky Tonk Half Day twice a year, where we just cut out of the office early and go drinking and then do karaoke at Troubadour. I don't know if Troubadour is still downtown. If it is, it's the best karaoke bar downtown, far and away. And one year we decided to do it as costume things, and I had just had my bachelorette party in Cincinnati, which not party, I had went and hung out with two friends who went to a baseball game, but I had the sash and all this dumb stuff that they bought for me. And so I'm like, I think my costume is going to be the scariest of all. And I show up in my bachelorette stuff, and people, oh gosh, I'm glad I didn't do a real bachelorette party, because people were grabbing me saying, don't do it, and all this dumb stuff. I'm like, good Lord, it was 3 p.m. Why is this person so drunk? What is your life?
It is interesting because my job is just off of Broad. I'm pointing. I assume it's that. Is it that way? Okay,
Yeah.
It's behind us.
That's west. That's north. That's east.
Okay, perfect.
Yes.
It's not far from there, and it's funny because we don't really go to Broadway for anything. If the team is going to go out to lunch or something like that, they usually try to avoid it because of the tourists and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But my wife and I, we saw that last time we were at these pedal taverns.
Oh, those are the worst.
So it's you combine, heat
Exercise.
and exercise
And a lot of drinking.
and drinking. It's
Yeah.
just I don't know.
People get so wasted and hungover on those things.
I just can't imagine the cleanup that you'd have to be prepared for, because you're just asking to puke at that point.
Yeah, we call those human spills.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. Have you discovered the Hermitage Cafe yet?
No.
Oh, dude, it's cash only, but it's really close to where you are.
Okay. Yeah, I'll check it out. We're little by little, we're kind of finding the cool spots and the nice places to hang out, or the places that maybe are a little too pretentious, or
Yeah, well,
not our speed.
There's more of those now than there used to be. There didn't used to be, I feel a $10 burger, and now there's $10 burgers everywhere.
The live music, though, that is good. I will say, we walked around a bit, and it was kind of fun to just let your ears kind of do the work. We were, it was, I think, Jason Aldean's place, and I don't know, we were walking past it, we could hear this lady singing from up on the rooftop bar, and we're like, yeah, we got to go find that and check it out. And so it was kind of a fun little adventure to find out exactly where she was, and we caught a cool little show. And then, from that rooftop, you could see right into, I think it was Kid Rock's place, and it had
Kid Rock's place. Freaking why?
It's got I think at least 3 floors, and all the windows were open, and there was a band on each floor. And this was on
Oh, that sounds like my nightmare.
Yeah. It's just, that was a trip. At any given moment, there's multiple bands and live music going on. So that's nice.
If you're really sensitive to a lot of stimuli, if you don't have much of an ability to get a cocktail party effect, you do not want to be on Lower Broadway on any night of the week. It's just every single window, every single place has a band, because again, you have to because everyone else does. Actually, that might be a good differentiator. We don't have loud live music.
Yeah. it's like an introvert's nightmare. So it'd be nice.
Oh, yeah.
It might be good marketing to like have a place where you can like sit down and like actually listen and maybe talk to somebody else while you're enjoying like your food.
Just decompress like my husband's doing right over there.
Yeah,
I think he was taking a nap earlier.
it's good, man. I'm feeling it. I'm like vicariously living through him right now.
He just lives his best life, and I'm like, you just want to like just take a nap. Like, no one's gonna think that's weird. Like, there was someone walking by with like a big like, it wasn't a headdress because that would have been offensive. It was like some weird mask situation. I'm like, no, you're not gonna be the weirdest person here. Just taking a nap.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's almost like you have two cats, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Just kicking back.
The cat's easier to wake up.
Nice.
Yes, the cat wakes up for earthquakes.
Oh yeah, you guys had one, huh?
Yeah, I was just talking about with Adam. Rick slept through it, and almost everybody I knew slept through it. It really was just like waking up. Like if you wake up in the middle of the night, and you're still kind of drunk, and you get the spins.
Yeah, there were a couple that not far from where our family still is in Southern California. It was like 4th of July, 5th of July, something like that. Or
Yeah.
they were a day apart, I think, something like that. So that was interesting to kind of experience that from out here, you know. All the text messages like, oh, you guys okay? Everybody's fine?
Yeah, I texted my cousin, and she's like, oh, the last one, the big one, like 7-1, and she's like, I had the cat carrier ready to go in my bug out bag, and it was scary.
Yeah, it's interesting. People, you know, they complain about the storms and the weather and stuff out here, but it's like you don't have any warning with the earthquakes out there. And I think a lot of Californians, like, they'll feel it shaking, and some people freak out, but others, it's like they're just kind of waiting, like, all right, well, do I go for a doorway or do I, get under a table? And like, nah, we'll just ride this one out. Like, you kind of get numb to it, I think, to some degree. Or, like, the small ones, I think, are kind of exciting. You know, it's just nice to be reminded how small and insignificant, we really are.
By the earth shaking. No, I kind of freaked out a little bit because it was my first experience with an earthquake. I immediately went online and bought like a bunch of stuff for my earthquake preparedness kit, like a filter straw. I think they're called life straws. I bought this. The only like wrench to turn off the gas I could find was also attached to this like survivalist hatchet. So now I own a survivalist hatchet.
There you go. So you could, in the dystopian apocalypse after an earthquake, you could, turn off your gas and, hunt your own food with it. So that's good.
Yes, I can fend myself off against attackers with my survivalist hatchet.
It is a healthy reminder, though, just to, like, have a kit, be prepared, and all that.
Yeah, because I've been like, I'll do it. I'm like, I need to do it now. Like, that could have been bad, and I would have been unprepared. Why are all these people, I keep seeing people kicking their electric scooters instead of just like that. You have a throttle. Like, I've been on those. They're look like I'm just kicking up the hill.
It's not going fast enough, I guess.
Those things are fast.
I haven't done one yet.
It'll make you feel alive, let me tell you.
Maybe I gotta try it out.
Make you feel alive, make you feel a little bit like you're going to die. Someone was telling me that there are different laws about whether you're supposed to ride on the sidewalk or the street, depending on the street. And I'm like, that is just too confusing.
Now, there's like a little placard on there that says not to ride on the sidewalks, but I mean, clearly that's not stopping some folks. But someone was also telling me that these are going to get, I guess, I don't know, shut down or banned, or like they're going to, or there's talk about taking them out of here.
I mean, I think I get it. I get not liking them, but on the flip side, there are obviously people using them. So obviously there's some demand for them. And there just aren't a lot of other good options, really, in a lot of cities to get around. Like, the bus system here is really bad. And I don't know what those weird little golf cart things are, but those almost seem more dangerous. And those are scarier to me.
Especially that one. It had like 30 people in it.
There were so many people, and just like hanging over the edges. And like, I've been on those golf carts. I would not want to be on one on a street in Nashville. Like, Rick and I were trying to cross a crosswalk this morning, and an Uber driver decided he didn't want to stop for us while we were already in the crosswalk, and he gave us the finger, so I returned the salute.
Nice.
Yeah, I think it's like the bad thing is, like, I know that like doing that in Seattle is one thing, doing it here. Like, people own guns here. And I was once, when I worked here, just south of all this, I was I was always trying to find new places for lunch. I knew there's a barbecue place that opened nearby, so I kind of walked down there, and the door was open. So I walked in, and the guy, he's in there. He turns around, he's like, "What are you doing in here? We're closed." I'm like, "Well, the door was open." He's like, "It was just locked." I'm like, "Well, it wasn't locked now," and I just walk out. Find out a few weeks later, that guy did have a gun. And he did kill somebody in his bar. He was serving a bunch of people after hours. They were drunk, and he got in an argument with a honky-tonk musician and shot him in the back of the head.
Wow.
Yeah. And he was his episode of Bar Rescue was supposed to air that night. So the original airing of it got taken down, but then someone forgot to take it off of the whatever playlist for the late one. So it did air exactly once, and I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, that's a bit frightening. So you almost dodged a bullet then.
In a literal way. Yeah. I didn't swear at him or give him the finger, but I did sass him a little bit, and he was really rude. I'm like, oh yeah, maybe don't do that, Emily.
Yeah, maybe give him some space next time.
Yeah, not my best. I was 23 or 24 and hungry. Obviously hungry.
It's nothing more reckless than a hungry person in their early 20s.
A hungry young millennial lady.
There you go.
See, none of them are kicking their scooters.
No, they seem to be doing okay.
They're a whole gang.
Scooter gang.
Scooter gang. Well, thanks so much. I think I'm going to go to the Smart Women in Music thing, wherever that may be, I don't know. And then I might go to the Stringjoy thing later. Are y'all going?
Yeah, we'll be there.
Cool. I know there was another thing of the Wild Horse, but I don't think I really want to go to that anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, we're just kind of playing it by ear. That's what we found is best to do with something like this, is just kind of allow space and allow time to kind of just be available after the event, because stuff pops up, especially last minute too, and I imagine out here with the musicians and kind of the scene, there could be all kinds of probably some really good music, really good hangs that you just find about on your way. So it's hard to come in with a real set agenda.
Yeah, the hard thing for me, that guy almost wiped out. He should not have taken that curb so sideways. But I have just a lot of friends here from being here 8 years. So I have a lot of people I haven't seen in 4 years, and I really am trying to see as many of them as possible. And there's someone I'm gonna spend a lot of tomorrow with who she and I have been close friends for 15 years, and I'm just so excited. I haven't seen her in 4 years, and she's gone through a lot since I last saw her. She got diagnosed with cancer. She recorded an album. She's trying to do the things, and so just gonna hang out with her, do some music stuff, maybe do a little video action. And I'm just really excited. I'm especially excited for that. Hanging with some former roommates tonight. Gonna see a couple of my professional friends tomorrow, and just things like my wedding photographer who I'm friends with. Gonna see her. I think I saw her last summer, but I think I'm gonna try to catch her for a little bit tomorrow night. So I don't know. I'm gonna be back at NAMM tomorrow morning for just an hour or so, and then I don't know if I'm gonna come back on Saturday.
Yeah, it's nice. The show is small enough, I think, in a good way, to where you can see it in a day, and I don't have time to get some good, meaningful conversations in, and try out some new stuff. But yeah, I think about a day and a half is fair.
Cool. Well, thanks so much. Again, that's Kevin Equitz at equitzguitars.com. Is that the website?
Yep.
Fantastic. Check him out on Instagram and the things. And I'll have links to that in the show notes in the visual thread.
Good times. Yeah, thank you.
Bye. Well, hello. I am here outside of Stringjoy, waiting for a little party to start. We're here a bit early because our parking was up. And Rick and I were driving a route that we used to drive all the time. It was right down where I used to sometimes leave work and I'd go to his house up in Woodbine, aka
Nashville.
Oh my gosh, he called it Hoodbine sometimes. He doesn't really want to be on the podcast, so I'm making him do it. And a lot of things have changed in Nashville, and it's just our first day here, and I'm sure we'll see more things that have changed. But we were so happy when we drove by Mr. Burger, and its sign still said...
It here.
Yeah.
Not it's here.
Not it's here. It here. IT space here. Doesn't say what it is.
Where did the S go?
Where did it go? Unsolved Mysteries of Nashville, one of the many. But it's nice to see that some old Nashville things have survived gentrification. And Mr. Burger, it here is one of them. That was one of our inside jokes, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Today, Rick got lunch at a Nashville staple called Arnold's. How was it?
Arnold's was good. It's a nice meat and three. I usually go to the Dairy King because that's where my really good friends, their family, they own and operate that meat and three. So if you're ever in Nashville, Dairy King is a good choice. Arnold's is also conveniently located near the convention center, so that was helpful for us.
Yeah, that was nice. So what did you think of Summer NAMM, Rick?
It was nice. It was good to see all the vendors, lots of different instruments and audio equipment out there. Lots of really cool guitars that I had never seen before. So that was neat.
Yeah, and not as many basses as you would have liked to have seen.
Yeah, I wish there was a lot more basses. There were basses mixed in throughout, but no real specific bass booth, if you will.
Yeah. Did you have any favorites?
No.
No favorites. That's.
Shout out to the Casio booth because they were very hospitable to us.
The Casio booth was awesome, and I'm going to talk about this more probably in depth on an episode with Andrew because I think he would dig it. But they have this little keyboard that's $109, and it weighs 8 pounds, and it has a handle, and the handle you can put a little stand in the handle. I don't know. It just it really appealed to me, and then I turned around and they had it in white, and I yelled, "It comes in white!" And then there's another one in red. I'm like, "It comes in red!" It was very exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're just standing outside of Stringjoy because we're dopes and we're early. And I can hear one of my old nemesis of Nashville. I was hoping I wouldn't run into any old nemesis, but here I can hear those friggin' cicadas.
How early are we?
I thought we were just 10 minutes early, but I think we might be more early.
5 till?
Well, I don't know. I'm just gonna listen to this creepy ass cicada. Maybe we should drive around back.
Yeah.
Here we are,
Get
brainstorming.
away from these cicadas.
Yeah. Oh, the other thing I saw that was exciting was Joey's House of Pizza. Did you ever eat there, Rick?
I don't think so. Don't think I have. No.
Yeah. So, looking at the things that are still there in Nashville, my old office building in Nashville was still there. It's a big old historic building, and it's a really weird space because it was initially part of the Vanderbilt Health kind of university. It was an active hospital. It had tunnels to get to the bigger hospital in the winter without going outside, and you could still kind of get into some of the tunnels, but then it was poured concrete and they kind of blocked it off. There was a big hole in our ceiling for several years, and you could still see the bolts in the walls from where the stadium style seating was, so people could watch operations either from within or from above. So that was always trippy. And then after it was a hospital, a medical hospital, educational hospital, I suppose is the word I was looking for there. It was used to manufacture I think chemical weapons is my understanding. And then it was a nightclub, and there was still a hot tub on the roof that was kind of boxed in. I don't know why they left the hot tub there. It was there. So that was bizarre. But Shout out to my Rock House peeps who don't listen to this podcast. They know exactly what I'm talking about. So I think Rick and I are going to try to find the party. And if we can't find the party, we might just leave. Gosh, those cicadas scared me so bad.
They want a party.
The cicadas are banging. That's their mating noises. Duel.
It's hot noises.
They're like, it's hot. Yeah, it is hot. So yeah, let's get back in the car with the AC and try to find some folks. Sorry for making you do that, Rick. He just waved. I love him so much. So now I'm here with Blake from the Tone Mob. Hey, Blake.
Hey, what's going on, Emily?
Hey. We were just talking about Mr. Burger and It Here.
It Here. Oh, man, I really want to go to Mr. Burger. I was talking to Scott about it on the way. Scott from Stringjoy, because that's where we are. And I was like, have you ever been to Mr. Burger? He's like, no. Like, how could you live here, drive by that on a normal basis, and not live here, not go there, and then I find out you are in the same boat?
No, it's just
we're in the same boat. Right?
It's just one of those enigmas. It's like, oh, Mr. Burger, It Here. I'm gonna actually pull up a seat so we can.
Oh yeah, good idea.
talk next to it.
Probably not sat down. But
Yes. Oh, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. So here we are at Stringjoy.
Yes, I have been here a couple times. Scott and I have worked together in various capacities for a long time, so I get all of the dirt and details on what's going on around here. But this is the first time I've gotten to see it in full operation like this.
Nice.
And when you go back there, we'll show you. But it's pretty cool. Like, it's kind of amazing.
You guys, they went all out on the barbecue. That's Martin's.
Yes.
Yes, that's where we had lunch today.
Oh, doubling down on the Martins.
You know what? Of all the things I could double down on a trip anywhere, I'm glad it's Martin's.
It's so good. I
Yeah.
really like it. I had it last time, but not. This will be only my second time having Martins. So you'll have Martins as many times in one day as I have in my life.
I've had a lot of Martins because I had a girlfriend who lived out in Nolensville where their first location was. So every time we went out there, Martins.
Nice.
Yeah, it was really excited when they opened their Belmont location. And now their new location, I talked about this already on the podcast. I think I could do a whole episode of this podcast just going to old places in Nashville and be like, well, this used to be that. Because the new Martin's downtown used to be a live music venue called the Rutledge.
Oh, news to me. That's the one I've been to, is the one downtown. I was like, this place is huge.
I'm really glad that they kept the Rutledge name for their event space.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like that they seem to have some respect for the area that they're in. I feel like they seem to, at least based on just their materials they had at the location. They were just like, Nashville this and Nashville that. We love Nashville. So
Yeah, that's definitely good. People respond well to that, especially tourists. But I think Martin's has always been deserving of the hype. Mm-hmm. I had their brisket tacos for lunch.
Oh man, I love brisket so much. I think that's my favorite barbecue meat.
Oh yeah. I like to do, the first time I go to a place, I like to do pulled pork, because if you can't do pulled pork right, then you probably can't do anything right.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Brisket is the first thing, I did a few sets of ribs, but when I got really into barbecuing, brisket's the first thing I went for. And it's the only thing I cook that I feel like very confident in. I mean, I'm not like a pit master, but at my home grill, I feel very confident about the quality of my brisket.
Nice. What do you have? Do you have like a Traeger?
I got a Traeger, yeah.
Nice. That's
like
the
cheating,
one.
But it's okay.
I mean, it's the best. Like,
Love it so much.
yeah, those little wood pellets just, it's an oven outside. You should make brownies on it.
I haven't made brownies. I'm not a big sweet guy.
Yeah.
But I have made many a pizza. Oh, I think they're looking for how to get in here. Oh, all right.
Yeah, the Patci's got it. Yes. He's a good dude, that Patci. Yeah, it's really neat in here.
This is quite different than when it was a lot of boxes, and I mean this area, this front room that we're in, people can't see it, but I guess we could describe. It's probably like a, I don't know, 20 by 15
I
room.
think maybe like 25 feet, but ish. I think you're.
Yeah, but it's just a nice front room. They got a bunch of amps sitting on the corner, a bunch of guitars on the wall.
Yeah.
It's the nice Stringjoy blue.
Yeah.
It'll be a good get together. I mean, we should have We should have a lot of people showing up to this.
good,
I
good.
think.
I know Kevin Equitz is coming. I think Adam Roher might be coming. I think Diaz is coming.
I'm pretty sure all those are coming. And then I talked to Matt Hoops just before I left the convention center. Sounds like he was going to come. So.
Oh, cool. I haven't met him.
Oh, he's a sweetheart. You're
Yeah.
gonna like him a lot.
Good.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
I like knowing that I'm going to like people before I meet them. It makes me less nervous.
I don't think with him. There's nothing to be nervous about.
Oh, I mean, we had him on the podcast. He was really sweet.
Oh,
and
well, there you go.
And he's from Ohio, too, so.
Oh, that's right. I actually knew that. I remember
Yeah.
that's one of the episodes I definitely listened to. I
Oh,
forgot. I listen to a lot of podcasts, so
That was definitely one of our bigger episodes.
I like that one. It was a
Yeah.
good one, and that one, and then our mutual friend Mike Adams. Those are probably my two faves.
Mike's was so good. Y'all go back and listen to Mike's episode.
He's one of my favorite people to podcast with. Period.
Oh, he's such a good talker.
Oh, and he knows how to react to the person he's talking to
Yes.
in a way that is entertaining for people to listen to, and like also it gives you something to respond to.
Totally.
He's just really good at being on a show.
Some people, it's a little bit like pulling teeth to talk to them. There were some people I talked to today that I'm like, oh, the product's cool, and then I like tried to talk to them. I'm like, maybe not. Like, it's kind of like it just has to be like an easy conversation. I know some people take some warming up, but you don't always have that much time on a podcast. Like maybe 10 or 15 minutes we do warm up with people, just like get them comfortable, get them talking,
Yes.
let their alcohol kick in if they've chosen to imbibe. I had my buddy Jim Bryson on, and sometime in the first like 10 minutes, he's like, he's in Canada, so it's legal. He's like, I just smoked some marijuana before I came on this, so to loosen up a bit.
Well, of course. I mean, it's legal where we are from too.
Yes,
So
yes.
I mean, hey, whatever.
hey.
You do whatever you got to do.
I think it's various kinds of legal in a lot of places.
Yeah, I think we're on the cusp of it just being legal, and I mean, however anybody feels on that's not really
Yeah.
what we're here to talk about, but like,
Yeah.
it's gonna happen. So
I don't know about the legality issues here, but when we were driving in at like midnight, maybe I imagined this. I saw an ad for weed maps.
oh, maybe I don't think it's legal here,
So
but
I was very
it might
confused
be
by that.
legal in some neighboring states or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. I
don't know.
I could be talking nonsense right
Maybe
now.
it's medically legal here. I don't know.
The guy who would know is outside, so
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah, neither of us are locals, so.
No, in fact, we both decided it was a good idea to come across the country to Nashville for this summer NAMM. This is my first summer NAMM. Is this your first summer NAMM?
It's my first summer NAMM, but it's not my first summer in Nashville.
Oh, it's not my first Nashville summer either, but I don't know. It's not been as brutal as I thought it was going to be. I feel like I was hotter last time I was here. I'm not sure what it is.
I think it's that it hasn't been sunny.
Yeah, that's true. It's still been like 90. I don't know. Maybe I'm getting acclimated really fast. I'm not sure.
Well, I remember when we were walking from the car to the convention center today, I was like, oh yeah, I remember like dealing with this. Like it sucked, but like you deal with it. Like,
Right.
It's not that bad. But like when I left Seattle, it was 65 degrees.
It's the perfect temperature.
I know. I mean, just you can put on a light sweater if you want to.
Mm-hmm.
If you want those extra pockets that come in a
That's
hoodie. You don't have to. You can wear long pants.
Of course.
That's pretty key for me.
Yeah, I am Chris Benson likes to make fun of me because I really like shorts. But every time I wear pants in front of him, he's always like, why are you wearing pants? I'm like...
I have some friends like that. I'm like, it's weird to see some people without shorts on.
Well, I used to always 100% wear shorts because my old job I had coveralls. And
Oh,
so
yeah,
I wore
so you
gym
were-
shorts underneath just so it's like I'm not dying.
Yeah.
And now I don't always have to wear coveralls, so I wear pants more, and it throws Chris off because every time I'd like stop by after work at a shop and be like, "You and your gym shorts." I'm like, "This is my work clothes."
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah. It's someone told me the joke that like for every like straight guy who like the female equivalent of straight guys who wear shorts in the winter is like lesbians and tomboys who wear pants in the summer.
yeah, I guess that makes sense.
I mean, yeah, that checks out to me.
That is true.
Like, and I mean, I am a tomboy who wears pants all year long, and I'm into it. I would wear, when I was little especially, I'd wear, as a tomboy, I'd wear dresses over shorts. I don't know what I had against shorts.
I don't know. They are kind of. I'm not really sure. Shorts are such a weird thing. They're such an.
You gotta do a thing?
I think we need to. Yeah, he's probably out back, the back door there.
Yes.
Anyway, that means the barbecue's ready. Woo! We should probably not talk about shorts though. What's your favorite thing you saw at Summer NAMM?
It's gonna sound really weird, but okay. I say one of my favorite things was just the Greer amps booth. I've not had the opportunity to play any of his pedals, and I really liked them all.
Nick is a kind of a master of the dirt. I mean, he has other things really well too.
Yeah.
But I've never played any of his dirt pedals and not been like, wow, this sounds ridiculously good. Like, really good.
I think the Soma was my favorite.
I played that at NAMM, honestly, kind of being like, it's an overdrive. Like, I'm not going to be that excited about it. Plugged in.
Yeah, same.
Went, okay, all right.
Yeah, all right, I like it.
Yeah.
And it's going to sound weird, but I think my favorite thing overall was that $109 Casio. Did you see that?
I didn't see that.
It's
Tell
just
me
a little,
more.
it's a little Casio keyboard. Just a couple octaves, but it's 8 pounds. It has a handle.
Oh.
And it sounds fine, but I'm like,
Could it be like a MIDI controller
yeah,
too?
yeah, totally.
Perfect.
And they have a $160 version where like the keys light up when you can attach it with like an iPad that has a Guitar Hero-esque game to help you
interesting.
learn like the keyboard faster. I'm like, that is brilliant. And I like, I don't really play piano. I have like a keyboard in the house. I feel weird not having a keyboard in the house as a musician. I'm like, I think I'm gonna get rid of that bulky thing that I have and just get one of these guys, and I might actually play it because I can like play it when I'm on the sofa watching TV or whatever.
Right.
Which
Yeah.
is when I do a lot of my playing.
I kind of feel what you're saying, and I'm probably gonna. I mean, I'm gonna go look at it tomorrow, but
Oh yeah.
I don't have a keyboard, and it doesn't.
$110.
It's $110. It doesn't make. I need something.
Yeah.
I have a piano, but which is nice, and I like playing piano. I'm not that good at it, but
It's
I
like
enjoy
it's
it.
this big. It's 8 pounds. It has a handle, and the handle you can buy a music stand that goes in the handle.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
It was really neat. I was like, oh man, I was like going like, I'm just gonna be here to be nice, and I'm like, that is dope. What about you? What was your favorite thing?
So my favorite thing so far is well, I don't know what they're calling it.
After the Stringjoy booth, of course.
Of course, the Stringjoy booth is always just an amazing experience for everyone involved. Let me. I was trying to make that really elaborate and stupid, but I failed. One of the coolest things I saw today was I wish I could remember the name of it. Old Blood has a pedal out that's kind of like a vocal pedal. It's not out yet. It's a prototype that's there.
Okay.
So they've got XLR ins and outs.
Nice.
But you can also plug in. It's one of those XLRs that has the center you can plug a 1/4 inch into.
Oh, cool.
And so you can do that. And we were talking about some of the stuff. And since it was a proto, it has a drive section, and then has 2 different FU1 chips in it. Mm-hmm. So it's got 16 different programs all together, and you can run one. The 2 XLRs out are a wet dry.
Yeah.
So you can do all kinds of crazy things with it. It was really fun to play with, and like they have mics there, and you can just say nonsense into it, and I was making monster noises and all this stuff, but it was really. I'm like, oh, and then I was talking to Dan, and I was like, is this preamp? Because he was like, oh, if you plug in an instrument that bypasses the preamp. I was like, no. You want the preamp because you can make it super dirty.
At least you want the option.
Yeah, I was like, you should have it switchable or just have it on because that preamp on it is actually really cool. I could tell it would probably be great for guitar. So
Yeah.
That's probably the coolest thing I seen today that I absolutely was not expecting. But there's some other stuff floating around there. I got to play with the Mood a little bit more. Actually,
I played with it a little bit. I just like couldn't figure it out really.
I have one,
manual with that.
but I haven't got to sit down with it. I actually made a short video with it where I was like, I don't know what this pedal does. I'm just going to plug in, set up my microphones, and start messing with it. And it actually turned out pretty cool.
Nice.
But I have no idea how I did, what I did, or what exactly I did.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But it's on Instagram. People want to see it. So.
Yeah. Well, I'll put a link to it in the show notes and drop it in the visual thread, which I do. Well, I have one more question for you.
Sure.
Do you have a favorite pizza in Nashville?
So, I haven't had that much pizza in Nashville, but I have been to 5 Points thanks to
5 Points Pizza.
Scott over here. Yeah, 5 Points was incredible, so that has to be my favorite. But there's one up the road from here that I've heard a lot about called Joey's.
Joey's House of Pizza. Yeah, they got that food truck.
Yeah.
I used to have that at events sometimes.
I've never had it, but I've heard nothing but good about it, so I'm going to try to get it while I'm here. The odds are a little bit slim, I think.
Rick, what was that pizza place we like near Buddy Kill and Circle? Oh, now we gotta look it up.
Tailgate's over there.
I don't know. It might not still be there, but
There was like a little Chicago sort of place.
no, it was a wood-fired.
Desano's.
Desano's.
I don't know. I didn't think about that. I'm so sorry.
Yes.
That's my other favorite place.
Oh my gosh, Desano's is like, oh man.
The like oil.
Yes, that spicy oil. Those little pickled peppers you put on top, and then
Great.
yeah, they don't. They're not kind to you later, those little peppers, but they are real good.
Nice.
That place used to be BYOB.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You can still bring wine. Sorry,
Oh, nice.
But they have stuff for sale now, so it's like
Yes.
a little bit weirder.
Yes.
It was really nice when you could just like bring in anything you wanted.
Yes. Gosh, those were the days. Old Nashville. Not that old. That place is like 5 or 6 years old.
I feel like...
Oh, what you got there, Rick? Can I have some of that?
Oh, is that alcoholic LaCroix?
I kind of want.
Spicy.
Fantastic.
Spicy LaCroix.
Well, thanks so much, Blake.
Absolutely.
Yes.
This is great.
Fantastic.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right, and here we are again. Thank you for having this party in your lovely office.
Oh, thanks for coming over. I appreciate you helping us with the barbecue and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, well, my husband worked really hard opening that door for the catering lady.
It seemed like it, yeah.
Yes. I was just saying I had Martin's for lunch.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah, I'm very, very excited to have Martin's
You're
twice
back
in
in
one
Nashville.
day.
You should have Martin's like 4 times in one day.
I know. I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining at all. Because I used to have it just all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And especially once they opened that Belmont location.
Oh, yeah. I know that life.
I saw, God, I don't remember his real name, Bonnie Prince Billy there once.
No way, really?
Yeah. He must have been. He
I
must
know
have
his
been.
name and I'm blanking on
He
it.
must have been recording at the Sound Emporium.
That would make sense. I love him so much.
Oh, I do
I
too.
feel bad that I'm blanking on his Christian name, as it were. Because he would like record under Palace Music and then like Palace and
God,
Palace
what
Band.
is his name? We're just gonna Nashvillians. Yeah. And man,
New Partner is one of my favorites ever. It's during the Palace Music era. He's awesome.
My ex, I hope I don't run into in Nashville, loved Bonnie Prince Billy.
We all have an ex in Nashville we try
We
not to run
all-
into. I have
I
one
know.
that I haven't seen in like 7 years. That I've
That's
been like, I'm going to see her all
amazing.
over because we did all the same things.
Yeah.
But she's probably really good at like being like, he's in there. I'm getting the heck out of here.
Yeah, maybe she just like can feel it. Like, I have. There was a guy who, he and I kind of had a falling out after working together. It wasn't a romantic thing, and I would always say like if I was a comic book character, he would have been my nemesis, and I saw that dude everywhere.
Of course. Like
Oh
any
my
good
gosh.
nemesis, they're like
I would
always on
see
your
him-
heels.
I would see him at the grocery store neither of us frequented. Like, I would see him at every show, which made sense. I would see him, like, at trade shows with jobs I didn't know he had. I'm like, what is happening? Why? I hate this so much. He doesn't listen to this, so but I'm not going to say his name.
I had a friend in high school who like deeply hated our assistant baseball coach, and his dream in life was to make so much money that he could buy whatever company he worked for and then fire him, and then buy the next company
That
and
is
just
the dream.
perpetually do this.
I think a lot of people have that thing where there are people, I know more than one person who always said he had a bottle of champagne in the refrigerator for whenever L.A. Reid got fired. And when L.A. Reid finally got fired, I'm like, Eric's opening up that champagne.
That's fantastic.
I
L.A.
know.
Reid, like who wrote all the Usher songs and all that, or a different L.A. Reid?
Wrote.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Who knows? Yes, that L.A. Reid.
But
from,
that
the
fellow.
L.A. Reid from Ohio, the one who was name dropped in that Pink song.
Oh, was he?
L.A. told me you'd be a rock star. All
Oh,
you
that's
have to
who
change.
she's. I didn't realize that was the
Yeah.
lyric there. I know just what
Yes.
you mean.
Oh, yeah, she
Oh,
meant
wow.
L.A., which is clearer in the video where she has a look-alike of him.
That makes sense. I don't
So-
even know what he looks like though, so I
Yeah,
wouldn't
just
know.
a bald black guy.
I
Probably
probably
this
just took it
tall.
as like L.A., like Los
Yes.
Angeles
I-
as a collective.
I think
told
it
you
was
this.
like a double meaning sort of thing. But
That makes sense.
I remember, like, everyone thought he was going to get fired because I think he passed on or fired Lady Gaga.
Ah.
And then he found someone else who was huge. And he redeemed himself in that way with his career until Me Too got him.
Everyone like I ever worked with in the music industry that was like, you know, either a producer, radio person, or like anybody that like, you know, could choose to take on a client or not, depending on, you know, and you would pitch them. everyone knew of like all the people they had passed on, so that when they
Yeah.
passed on you, you'd be like, well, they passed on the Rolling Stones.
Yes,
It's fine.
yes,
I like
yes.
still
Well, you
remember
know.
like there was one radio guy that we always like worked with, but he like passed on the Lumineers, and that was like when that was huge, and everyone just be like, he passed on like that, which was like
Yeah.
obviously a big hit. He doesn't know.
No, he doesn't. Not everybody can be right all the time.
That's true.
That's
We try.
true. So, can I make an assumption about you?
Go ahead.
Did you go to Belmont?
No.
Oh!
Close though.
Dang! Vanderbilt?
Yeah.
Ah!
My life's work is being mistaken for somebody that went to Belmont.
All right.
Vanderbilt me would be very happy about that. I started like hanging out with all the Belmont kids.
Oh,
Like,
yeah, we were cooler.
That like saved me because like
Yeah.
as soon as I got to Vanderbilt, I was like, what in hell?
Yeah, that's very, like, that is the backup school for all the Ivy Leaguers. I remember my good friend, like, I was her maid of honor, and she, when she was a little bit younger than me, and she was, like, applying for college, she's like, I got waitlisted by Vanderbilt. I'm like, that's great, because that means you're going to get in. She's
It's
like,
still better
she's
than going
she's
to
like, no,
Cornell,
it's a,
though,
It's a
ultimately.
really competitive school. I'm like, yeah, but everyone who applies to Harvard, Vanderbilt's their backup. So the ones who do get into Harvard or any big school, like, they are going to not go to Vanderbilt, and you're going to get in, and she did. Yay!
It all worked out.
It worked out. And then she hung out with a lot of the Belmont kids
Yep.
too, but she was also in a sorority, so she was into that scene.
Mm-hmm.
So I think she got along with both. She crossed the street. She crossed the 21st Ave sometimes.
This is the trick. Yeah, my
is the
girlfriend
trick.
of many years I met. She was a Belmont girl. Who was a freshman when I was a sophomore. So that helped. It was like
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I spent most of college going to house shows and all that sort of
Yes,
thing. that
oh,
no
Belmont had
Vanderbilt
the
person
best
would
house
ever,
shows.
Ever dare.
Belmont had the best house shows.
Indeed. This was the Diarrhea Planet era.
Oh,
of
I
all
knew
that.
those guys. Yeah,
Likewise.
I
Good fellas.
Yeah, I don't know. Jordan was always great. Jordan was always so
Jordan's
nice to
from
me.
like 3 blocks away from me.
Oh,
in,
fantastic.
Like, north of Indianapolis.
I was probably closer to Evan and Casey, and
Yeah.
I think Evan left, and I haven't talked to Evan in years. And Casey, there's another Cincinnati guy. It was always great. Gosh, what did you ever go to any of the Primrose shows?
It sounds familiar.
Primrose Circle. Yeah, those were my buddies.
Oh yeah,
Like
Evan
Ben-
Donahue played there
Yeah.
for his like late autumn cassette release. I
That was
remember
like
well.
Ben and Colin and Kevin all lived there, and they were right down the street from my house too.
All old Nashville people have like a map of like
Yes.
here's where the house shows were, and some of those
Yes.
places are still venues. Like they've just changed hands a zillion times.
So I understand that Glenn Danzig's place is not.
Glenn
around.
Danzig's house, I think it even got bulldozed.
Ben died.
That he did.
Yes,
Yeah,
that was very sad. That messed me up.
That was a dark day in Nashville.
Oh my
Yeah,
God,
that was
yeah.
hard. And
Oh.
then Psy, everything very bad happened with Psy.
I didn't hear about that.
It was
Oh, all right.
sexual assault stuff.
Fuck.
I don't know the detail. I don't want
All
to
right,
like
no, it's fine.
go
it's fine,
on
it's fine.
record too hard.
Nobody
but-
knows who we're talking about.
Oh, that's
bleep-
fair.
I can
Yeah.
bleep the name.
But yeah, everybody like the very last what do they call it? Freaking weekend. Got like everyone pulled out because that's when everything
that's
came
what
like public about it,
happened.
and like a bunch of bands split off and threw their own thing at Charlie Bob's. It all ended with a bang.
Oh gosh, just that's a complete implosion. That's
Indeed.
disappointing.
It was a good time though back then. But
Yeah.
New Nashville, well, Nashville in general continues to be cool. The East Side's got a lot of cool stuff going on. That's
It
where
all
I
just
live.
changes, and like I moved to Seattle, and I'm friends with a lot of people who are like old Seattle and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And I like New Seattle a lot, and I know how they feel though after spending almost 8 years in Nashville. That it's just so like disorienting almost when you're like going to a great barbecue place, let's not kid ourselves. It's a local chain.
Sure.
That used to be like this dingy club that you used to go to
Yeah.
and like have the sound guy yell at you. Oh gosh.
It's like the original, I think it's Geno's East in Chicago, that like the original place is really divey and cool, and they've
Yeah.
like chained out, and everywhere feels very
Yeah.
sterile and chainy.
Yeah. It does feel chainy. I mean, but it looks so much like the original one to me.
Yeah.
That I've been going to since like 2008,
Mm-hmm.
maybe. Oh man. 11 years of Martin's in my life. That's a beautiful thing.
It is a beautiful
It's a
thing.
beautiful thing. Is Ellison Place Soda Shop still around?
It is, yeah. That's
'Cause
like
that
the one
almost
that
went
always
down.
seems to hang on. Though they're never open. I don't know how they stay around, but they haven't gone down yet.
Because when they almost closed because rent went up, everyone got pissed and like shamed the
The Gold Rush
building owners.
finally gave up the ghost.
Oh man. Is Santa's Pub still about?
It still is, but it's
Fantastic.
become like an extension of Broadway in many ways.
Oh,
You know, it's like all the
no.
bachelorette parties like have to go there. They're making good money. There's a cover. It's a different
There's
thing.
a cover?
Yeah.
I just like you go there and you do your karaoke.
I know. No, there was a moment I saw like Jack White there. I think I even saw Taylor Swift there. Like
Shoot.
there was like a brief moment that no one was ever there except for like uber famous people.
Damn
They got to
it.
just like hide out there, and then the cover got blown as it always does.
Yeah.
You know.
Of course it does. New Nashville ruins things for everybody.
All your like listeners are like, I don't understand, but I've heard all of these things about Nashville.
I thought Nashville
It
was
sounds
the
like it's
city.
become terrible.
No, Nashville seems to be quite cool. I see why bachelorette parties want to come here. It's fun. It's cool.
And there's like the two tiers of the city. Like there's
Yeah.
like downtown and Broadway is like made for that, and those people never leave there, and it's
Nope,
fine.
that's
and
fine.
no local ever goes there.
No,
So
yeah.
it's like Times Square, New York. You know what
I would
mean?
go to
Like-
Robert's like a couple times a year because we would do Honky Tonk Half Day where we'd shut down the office early
cool.
and we go drink and do karaoke at Troubadour when they open.
Yep. Yeah. Now that's all insanely packed. It's like Vegas down there.
Oh God, yeah. Oh, it's like Vegas for people who love country music.
It is. It's like a trashier Vegas.
Hillbilly Vegas. Nah, bachelorette parties, Vegas. What? Vegas for people who think Kid Rock is country.
That's exactly right. Oh gosh.
Oh, sweet Jesus. Oh my God, I remember when he moved to Nashville. We'd all be like, "Oh, that's Kid Rock's condo," when we drive past it.
Oh boy.
Like, oh
Yeah,
Lord.
he's got Kid Rock's big ass honky tonk and rock and roll steakhouse. That's the proper name of it.
I
That's
don't
the
like
official
that.
name. No, nobody
Just
does.
no, thank you.
Yeah, I'm sure the tourists love it.
Oh yeah,
But they
I
can
wanna
have
get-
it.
I want to get a T-shirt with that.
It works out fine,
Yeah.
you know. It's just funny to me because a lot of cool people will be like, "I love Nashville," and they come to town and they only hang out down there, and
No,
they're
that's
like, "It was
not it.
great." I'm like, "Really? That was great?"
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't have enjoyed it, but I don't know.
My brother came down here with some friends a few years ago, and he's like, "I had to wait in line everywhere I went." I'm like, "Then you went to the wrong places, brother."
Yeah, well, even the good places
Well,
have
unless you're
gotten that
not-
way, but
I don't know if it's gonna happen. I would love to go to Prince's.
well, the original Princess exploded.
What?
Somebody drove a car like over the curb somehow, and then through the parking lot, and then into Prince's.
And they
then
never rebuilt?
And
I
their
think
car
that sounds
then
familiar.
exploded.
No!
Yeah. So they said like they're like closed indefinitely. I don't know if they'll like
But
make it
they have
happen
the
again.
secondary
But they have the
location?
place in Nolensville. Yeah.
Oh, it's in Nolensville.
Yeah.
Well, I do have some people I
Prince's
need to see in
2
Nolensville.
of some sort. But it's always funny
Do
with
they
the
do?
NAMM.
I wonder if they still do call aheads.
Oh, that's always the trick.
That is
yeah.
the trick. Yeah, I don't want to go to Hattie's.
No, I know, because NAMM's funny, because everyone's like, oh, you gotta have Hattie B's. It's the
No,
best."
Hattie's
'Cause
is like
everyone's-
the gentrified.
Exactly. All these people have been coming here for like many, many years, but they're still like they're like frequent tourists
Yeah.
rather than like knowing it. So they
Yeah.
have all these things.
Yeah.
What's always weird to
No,
me
I'm
is like a
if you're
local.
gonna have
is
to
like-
go different, go to Bolton's at least.
Exactly. It's always weird as a local is like this is my city, and then like all these companies will come in that I know a lot of them. And they're good
Yeah.
folks, but it's weird to see like a pedal company from LA be like, it's our party with Hattie B's or whatever, our favorite place. I'm like, wait, how? It's like everyone stakes a claim
Yeah.
to like one part of the city, and it's just weird to
Yeah.
be the person that's from here.
Yeah. Gosh, like don't get me wrong, I love Hattie's because it was a much better commute than driving all the way.
Exactly.
So I lived in Hillsborough Village, and it was right down the street, and yeah, it's good.
Oh yeah,
It's not Princess. It's like it's spicy chicken. It's good.
yeah.
I'm not gonna shame people for liking Hattie's, but
It's
like,
a higher quality like base
Oh,
chicken,
totally,
which
totally.
is nice.
and you can
but
get
not
nuggets
quite the
every
same.
day of the year. But yeah, I think people are starting to show up. So thanks so much for the chat.
Sure thing. Thank you
Yeah.
for letting me rap about Nashville things.
Yeah, dude, literally anytime. Literally anytime.
I'm always here.
Yes. All right. Thanks.
Hey Vincent.
All right. All right. I am back with Evan Jones, the CMO of Fender. Hi, Evan.
Hello.
How are you doing this very, very hot day, hotter than the last?
Doing great. We have our NAMM legs on this week, which means we're standing around and talking to folks all day long, but it's great.
Yeah. I really like the booths that have that fake wood that's very cushy.
Oh, you mean the cushions underneath?
Yeah.
Yeah, those are good.
That's kind of amazing. I used to stand up all day working at theme parks and stuff, so I wish I'd had that.
They're great. You know when you walk by one, it feels better just for a second.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So thanks, first of all, for taking a little bit of time to talk with us at the podcast. Andrew and I are big fans of Fender. I especially love Fender's inclusivity with their advertising. it seems that you all, above other brands, are doing more in terms of featuring women in your ads, but not bringing attention to the fact that you're featuring women in your ads. And so I know that you've been on for about 4 years with Fender. Can you tell me a little bit about how you all came to that decision from a marketing perspective, what research went into that, and maybe a little, like, because it just seems from the outside like you guys are killing it. So I'm a little curious if you can talk a little bit about how, like, the response overall has been. And that's a lot, but however you see fit.
Well, first of all, thank you for saying that. That means a lot, and it's important to us that, I know you're a musician as well and an artist, and it's important that people like yourself understand what we're trying to do. I think, there's a couple things. First is, at a broad-based level, we totally embrace the notion that guitar has evolved. It's becoming more diverse than ever, across gender, across geographies, across genres, and I think as a brand who is here to facilitate creation of music, we really do think it's our job to be as open and inviting and sort of celebrate all those different forms of creation. So we don't really look at it through the lens of one thing or another. We just look at it as musical expression, and that's what we want to support. And I can come back maybe a little bit later, talk about some of the things we're doing with artists specifically. But I think, from a marketing standpoint, if you look at the journey we've been on since I've been here, a lot of this started 4 years ago when myself and Andy Mooney, our CEO, first started. We were hungry for data, and there was a ton of institutional knowledge about how to make guitars and what artists want, but not a lot of data about who was buying guitars. So we conducted probably one of the biggest research projects in the history of the company to really understand the user base. And what came back was really exciting, but also unexpected, which is the number one stat I think you referenced is that 50% of all new guitars purchased at that point new were by females. And I think we looked at that as an incredibly exciting piece of information, but I think for a lot of people in the industry, it was unexpected. I think if you were to ask most people who are working in guitar shops, who's the customer base, they would have said 70-80% male. The reality is, what also came out of that research is that the predominant way that those new customers are buying products is online. They're more comfortable because retail has traditionally been a fairly intimidating environment overall, and I would say, especially for women going back 4 years. In fact, as an anecdote, our head of retail, Jessica, who comes from the fashion industry, she did some secret shopping on her own when she was just getting started, and she got asked 2 questions. The first one was, are you here for your husband? And the second one is, are you here for your boyfriend? And so, I think we as a team sort of took that on as just another thing we wanted to address and correct. And, she's addressed that through trying to create more inviting environments with experiences that are, essentially inviting to anyone who walks in. And we have about 12 shop-in-shop programs that now do that. But just to get back to your question, I think that research really kind of triggered a lot of the investment that we've been putting out in support of the brand in the last 4 years. The other piece of research that came through was that 50% of all new guitars are also purchased by new players, and that 90% of those drop out within the first year, if not the first 3 months. So probably 2 of the biggest things we've been focused on is, on the one hand, becoming increasingly diverse and really working hard to make sure that our marketing reflects the changing face of guitar today. And then the other big initiative that we've been driving is adding a digital learning subscription service and making it easier for new players to come in, to learn, and stick with guitar over time. So happy to talk about all of that, but fundamentally, it's sort of a combination of research and I think a mindset that has really guided a lot of what you see happening now.
Yeah, Fender Play is really interesting to me. I feel like if you can grab an instrument and be able to play something in the first couple of days, that just really does a lot for your confidence in a really good way. So it's really interesting to me how no one else seems to have thought of this.
Well, I think that there are some smaller players out there that have been trying to do this for a while, and I think certainly anybody who picks up a guitar for the first time, the predominant way people search for information is through YouTube videos. We know from some additional research that online videos is the most popular way for people to learn, arguably more popular than in-person lessons, but it's not very organized, it's not very quality, and so our investment in Fender Play was really designed to provide a guided path curriculum that you could learn at your own pace, but really oriented around getting you playing songs as fast as possible.
Yes,
because
it's pretty affordable too, isn't it?
Super affordable. Not to be too promotional, it's $9.99 a month on a subscription basis.
$9.99. I'm sorry, I thought it was more than that even, but that's wow.
No, and if you want to sign up for a full year, it's $90. So literally, it's the price of 1 to 2 lessons in person. You can have access to several thousand videos, lessons, song lessons, tips, tricks for a full year.
That's really great. Wow. You were talking a little bit about that research study and how it was eye-opening for you all. What's the response been from other people in the industry? Because it just as a woman who exists on the internet sometimes, I know that there are still a lot of people who just don't believe that study. They just don't believe it. Like, their anecdotal evidence is stronger to them than the data. So is that something that you've also experienced a bit, that skepticism almost?
Yeah, a little bit. But from our perspective, it's, choose not to believe it at your own peril. The world is changing. It has changed. And I think probably one good example of where we originally saw some pushback was when we shared that initial study with our business partners and retailers in Europe. And there was some pretty heavy skepticism that was actually the case. So we extended the study into the UK market, and what came back was essentially identical.
Amazing.
So it's not just a US thing, it's a global phenomenon. And I can even tell you that if you looked at, for example, Japan, where we've been doing business for a long time, 40-50% of all new guitars are bought by young female artists there as well. So It's a global phenomenon. It's really exciting. But I think any pushback that we originally experienced has really started to dissipate, because what we're seeing is, as we've been more inclusive in the marketing we put out there, as we've amplified and elevated female artists at the same level as male artists, the demographic of who's coming into stores is changing. Even the demographic of who's joining our social channels has changed dramatically in the last 3 to 4 years, which is super exciting to see.
Yeah, it really is amazing how once you start to include women in the things, and they feel welcome and they feel safe. And I think I said this, I don't remember if we were recording, but just using them in ads as just musicians and not bringing that attention to the fact, because I think that's the best way to do it, because then as a woman you don't feel pandered to, which can make you feel a little bit bad. From a marketing standpoint, what I also think is so smart is that the price points and for the quality that you're getting on some of these guitars is so it's not intimidating. It's affordable. You're like, well, I guess if you don't know already know how to play guitar, if I can get a nice guitar that's cute and is how I want to express myself, and Charlie Bliss or whoever is playing it, then you can do that, and it doesn't feel like such a big investment.
Yeah, I think if you look at kind of the same time frame, one of the things that we've been doing from a product marketing perspective is overhauling all of the various series of electric guitars and acoustic guitars that we make. And a really good example of that from last year is what now is the Player series. And that replaced the Fender Standard series. What we did is we actually built a lot more features, playable features, different combinations into that line, and we positioned it at a $500 to $600 price point. Our goal with that series was to have that be sort of the forever front door to the Fender Electrics brand, and what we really wanted to do was focus on younger, up-and-coming artists, to include them as really the faces of that whole series. And I think what you're going to see from us is we're going to continue investing, for example, in that series over the next couple of years, because it's going to give us the opportunity to get outside the guitar bubble, so to speak. There's so much growing interest in picking up guitar that we're seeing, is we just want to make it as easy as possible to get the most number of people in. It's obviously good for business, but we also think it's good for what we all care about most, which is music.
Yeah.
So that's a big part of our strategy, and maybe to support that, for example, when we launched it, we included Cherry Glazer and Melanie Faye as two of the lead artists.
Melanie Faye, man. Whoa.
Phenomenal talent,
Yeah.
Nashville-based, so good with the guitar, and has so many great years ahead of her. But just a great ambassador for that series. And, you know, in those campaigns, we really just turn the camera on and let her talk about what it means to her, which is important to us because that also allows us to authentically amplify her voice.
Authentically, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. So, is there anything else you want to talk about with the artist outreach and programs that you're doing?
Well, probably the biggest thing that we, in addition to everything else we're doing across our product launches and social channels, is this last year we announced a program called Fender Next. And really what that is designed to do is identify 50 of the top young, up-and-coming or emerging artists around the world and support them with backline gear, tour support, but also marketing support. Our goal there is to really become sort of best-in-class marketing partner to artists. And what was really exciting for us too is that we were able to, as we were identifying these artists, 40% of those artists ended up being female. And artists like Snail Mail, Ashley McBride, Japanese Breakfast, and some of them came together for an event that we had during South by Southwest this year. And we also had a similar stage at the Great Escape in Brighton this year.
Yeah.
And in fact, one of the nights ended up, I think, almost being entirely dominated by female artists. I think we had 7 artists that night.
Yeah. Sometimes that just happens by accident, and it's a beautiful thing.
It happens by accident, and to your point, we really don't try to differentiate. For us, it's really just about identifying great artistry and supporting it in all its forms.
Yeah. Again, just not saying, oh, here's our women lineup or whatever. It's just like, it's not a secondary class of musicians, and that's something I think women struggle with constantly, because, you know, at the same time we want to build up like this community that we have, but we also don't want it to be like we're trying to do women only. We just want that to be like the norm for it to happen accidentally. For years I worked with this little festival in Seattle called the Timber Festival. Our lineups were always at least half female fronted. We didn't advertise it, we didn't try. It's just like, hey, that's the good music that we were listening to. Just you expand your own horizons, you have that chance. Yeah.
Well, there's probably a Spider-Man quote in here somewhere, but I think for us as a brand,
we would appreciate the Spider-Man quote.
Yeah. Well, we really do believe that we have a responsibility as the industry leader. You know, we do business across more categories than anybody else. We lead in terms of artist adoption more than anyone else. We don't take that for granted. We don't take it lightly, and we really want to make sure that we're reinvesting the dollars we do have to spend on helping to create that next generation. And amplify the artists who are driving it now. So that's kind of an important ethos to us. And to your point about, you know, not creating a separate Fender woman campaign, from our perspective, the best thing that we can do to show that we look at artists across the board equally is to act that way.
Yeah.
And we think the actions are probably the most important part. I think
I love that. I think people forget that part.
Yeah, and I think from our standpoint, like, we still feel like we have so much work to do. We're proud of the progress we've made. I'm really proud of the fact that our retailers and media are appreciating the effort we're making, but we believe like this is just an initiative for us that's just starting and is going to be a permanent part of how we operate.
Great. Well, thanks so much for taking 15 minutes to talk to me about this. I'll include links to Fender Play and Next in the show notes and in the visual thread on the Facebook group. So be sure to check that out. And, you know, again, thank you so much.
No, thank you. Much appreciated.